When I moved to St. Louis, it was the suburbs, and out in the suburbs was a melting pot, a beautiful new building called the JCCA, the Jewish Community Center. And it was a wonderful place that had all kinds of activities. Inside the JCCA were four-wall handball courts. And all of a sudden, I'm looking down one day, and I'm seeing a couple of guys playing with a sawed-off tennis racket. Racquetball, 1963. I remember vividly the first time I went on the court. My opponent was Bob Adelson. He was a southpaw, and he beat the dickens out of me. And in my mind, I said, one day I'm just going to beat this guy like he has just beaten me. And I did. It took me 9 years to get to a point where I was on the original amateur. They didn't have a professional league at that time. I was one of the players that was on a amateur team that traveled from city to city to play in racquetball tournaments.
The one thing that was really magical about racquetball was that everything started at St. Louis, the mecca of all the great players, the mecca of the biggest tournaments. And the Jewish Community Center in St. Louis was the place. I mean, there was just a number of players, professional players and stuff that came, and they knew that if they wanted to get the best games, they had to come to the J.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I went to play racquetball, and that's where I met, you know, Artie Elver, and one of the gems of people I've ever met in my life. And back in those days, when we were just learning the game, you had already had the understanding of the game.
Yes.
I had my ups and downs. I had some flaws. My game was rough, but Artie took the time and got on the court with us, showed us how to play, and Artie was I remember was competitive. If you were going to beat him, you were going to have to be better than him.
It was a mecca of racquetball in the world, and Marty's mother, at the age of 8.5, brought this handsome little freckle-faced kid in to the court with me, and then he became a shining star.
There, the ball rolls. That's the way Hogan plays.
I never played racquetball because I thought I was ever going to make money or make a living or this, that, and whatever, because back in those days there was no money.
No
tour, none.
Nothing.
I remember the very first time I won $50 playing racquetball. It was at Aurora, Illinois. In the early stages of racquetball, they had qualifying and then a round of 64, a round of 32, and at the round of 16 is where they started to pay. I lost in the round of 16, but I won $50. I won $50. I thought I didn't need, I put that in the bank, I'm done. I've got more than enough money. I'm a gazillionaire. Because at the same time I won that $50, I was working in a Chinese restaurant washing dishes for $1.40 an hour. So when I made $50 playing racquetball, I mean, come on, trifecta.
Multi-millionaire.
Powerball.
I love it.
No question, the greatest rivalry in the history of racquetball has been me and Charlie Brumfield, because Charlie Brumfield was the first super pioneer of professional racquetball. He was the face of racquetball in the early 70s. He was a real surgeon, I should say, out there on the court in every way. He was a master of psychology and psyching out and this and that, whatever, but a tremendous player. And he literally ruled the game because he had such a mental dominance over everybody. So our matchup, our confrontations were epic because we were so drastically different. Here was a well-established 27, 28-year-old in his prime, an attorney, coming in against a brash 16, 17-year-old. That man, I was coming out with both guns firing, baby. You know what? I was swinging I was going to swing until I hit you, and he was going to jab and move back and stay away.
There's the big forehand. There's Hogan stepping up and short hopping the ball. Wow. Hogan will get that ball. Power torque and quickness to take an early lead.
I remember when he was that shining star and was hitting shots, 140, 150 mile an hour serves.
How fast is that ball going when he hits it like that, Hank?
When Marty hits it like that, he's been clocked upwards of 160 miles an hour, which is an amazing speed no matter what sport you're playing. But in the area that it's generated in a racquetball court, he's generating 160 miles an hour only about 5 feet away from the front wall.
Oof.
And I was so proud of this kid because he came into the J locker room. He'd come back to St. Louis after winning tournaments in this city and that. And you'd see him in the locker room at the J Men's Health Club. And he was still that same happy-go-lucky kid. And there he was. He was #1. And we had him in St. Louis. Didn't take long to watch this kid become like a Mickey Mantle from the Midwest, ambidextrous, backhander, which I never had, and he was playing all these other young Turks, you know, Halisha, Surratt, Zuckerman, Doug Cohn, Benny Colton, and all these kids from the mecca of racquetball where he was #1, they just wanted to tear him apart.
I think Artie was really a part of that first generation. The early pioneers of racquetball really were. You were part of that group. You were part of the Marlo Phillips group, the Steve Schneider group. How about that name? Steve Schneider. You know, him and Marlo Phillips, that was like a rivalry.
Like Ali and Fraser.
It was, at the J.
Exactly.
It was. And I think the defining match for me is when I won my first national title and I beat Charlie Brumfield in Michigan. You know, a lot of people even a couple years prior to that thought I was the best player in the world. But until you really get the confirmation of winning the title, you know, you have to get the confirmation.
Yeah.
You have to get the stamp. And the stamp is really doing it. Because you know what? I mean, you could be the best ever, but unless you really actually win the best in the biggest events, you know, there's a confirmation on that end of it.
Surratt never could take out Brumfield, who was a lawyer smart, but Marty took out Brumfield like Surratt couldn't. Yeah. And once that occurred, boom, watch out, racquetball world. He had it all. It was an all-around game and youth and firepower. So, you know, here I am at 31 years of age, 32, moving on, and here's this young up-and-coming upstart. He changed the game. Jackie Mason lives in this building, and I was introduced to him about a year ago by a mutual friend, and I invited him to play racquetball as my guest down the street. And he said, "What, are you crazy? I'm gonna get a heart attack." That was that. From the middle of America, Mickey Mantle, who I met at the end of his career, he was here in the restaurant one day. And I said, "Double M," they call me the Double A. And I left New York to go to the Midwest, and you left Oklahoma to come to my city. I'd like to invite you, Mickey, to be my guest and play racquetball with me at the Parker Meridian. And he said to me, "I'm sorry, sir, my knees are shot." We shook hands, big neck, red face, powerful handshake. I had such a great life in racquetball. I was well known in St. Louis, and now I'm coming back to New York City. Racquetball in New York was just getting underway, really. It was raw. Hello, my sweet baby. Say hello. Chihuahua, meet some of my racquetball champions. I needed to find a club, and sure enough, a club was opening up at the Park and Meridian Hotel. I joined, and I made my mark there. I was the first club champion. Everyone looked at my gray hair, and they thought I was a piece of cake. So I came back to New York 25 years later, and one of the original guys in racquetball, and I won the first club championship in my club La Racquette. Here it is. From what I've learned in the Show Me State, the beginning of racquetball, to bring that back to my native New York, and now find myself teaching young men and women, is a joy. It's like winning the lottery that I can pass that torch on to these kids and teach them good health habits, exercise.
Every day I would come here and I would stand right here and look at everyone playing, and sort of like got fire in my soul for the game, and I decided, okay, the time has come where I really want to play this game. So I talked to AA and the manager of the club, and I was like, I'm ready now.
How did you find this young man?
Oh, I love him. He's a great teacher. Tricks me continuously on the court.
I would hope that she achieves her goal, that she will beat AA one day. U.S. Youth has to be served.
I am definitely going to beat him one day.
Get it out. Get the stress out on the island of Manhattan with AA. It's a gift.
Why did I come all the way from Texas? I mean, that's almost a rhetorical question. It's all about AA.
AA. He's one of the superest people that you possibly can meet.
It's really AA that created this whole thing.
I'm just meeting him for the first time. I'm a little overwhelmed.
We all looked up to AA.
20th anniversary. It's AA's to lose.
Eddie Fink came up from Houston, Texas.
Hello, how are you? Hi. Gangers.
Good to see you. Let's come in. We're used to everything on one level, not all this up and down.
It starts off really friendly because everyone hasn't seen each other for a while.
I'm honored that you're all here. And this is the healthiest thing that I've ever been involved in, and I'm blessed now that I teach young men and women on the island of Manhattan. To look at me, I'm a dinosaur. Here I am 43 years later playing consistently, and if you want to be well, if you want to be healthy, get that poison, that stress out of your system by playing our sport. I feel blessed that I'm passing it on, and it's a great gift. Racquetball's a very simple game. It's serve and shoot. You can only score a point when you're serving.
Nice touch.
You have to get to the ball before it takes 2 bounces.
See that?
Games go to 15 points.
He should have put that ball way too high on the court.
Oh.
You have one against the other. May the better man emerge triumphantly.
The score is tied up at 3-3.
Oh my God, that was unbelievable. Hogan,
Unbelievable.
Hogan swung twice to hit that ball.
What a great rally. It is
Incredible.
heated.
Great
He
shot.
finally put him away.
He's still out here playing.
How old is he?
I don't even know how old this is. So I don't think he's been telling the truth for 15 years, so no one really knows. Double A. ¿Cuántos años? Por favor.
We are family. I got all my sisters with me.
Yeah, double A.
We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing.
I was pushing, and when you push, instead of go with the zone, the flow, you lose.
True.
And he's a much better player. He's destined for stardom this trip.
Well, the kill shot is the ultimate. It's the winning shot. It's the most difficult shot to hit. In a lot of sports are a game of errors. You know, the least amount of errors you make, the more success you'll have. But in racquetball, if you are good enough to execute winning shots, which is very difficult to do, you can obtain your own success. You don't have to rely upon your opponent's errors and misfortune in order for you to succeed. Perfecting and hitting consistent kill shots, that's the shot that separates the good from the great players.
Yeah. It's the knockout punch, Roger.
It is, it's the knockout.
It's earth, wind, and then fire. I feel that the kill shot is if you're a submarine commander. When you say fire torpedo 1 and it's a kill shot, there's nothing greater. What a feeling. It's a boom. What I'm doing now is I'm watching two of my future opponents that I have to face this afternoon. And I'm just watching to find a weak spot. It's like a prize fighter coming into the ring, and if you draw blood over the eye, concentrate on that bloody spot.
And if there's anyone who can find a weak spot in somebody's game, it's double A.
I'm seeing that I have a tough road ahead of me. Glenn Smith, I don't know Glenn that well, but he has a warm smile, and can he handle a racket? Jeff West, a leading man, a man who has such a great passion for our sport. Ed Fink is a master craftsman.
He was nice to me.
I saw him play in the championship. Is that right, Dad?
Yeah, last year.
Championship last year before and the year before.
And what happened in those years?
You won.
Seth Farber is a world champion in so many ways. A father, a husband, and hey, can he be stopped?
We've gone on a number of tournaments and traveled together, and we've had so many just great times. He had a very special way of communicating what the bottom line is.
Kill shots.
Without even anybody really knowing that was really the bottom line. There's a couple of calming voices in everybody's life that when 20 or 30 people are yelling or talking, there's always one voice that we all sort of hear, that you just sort of say, wow, that really made sense to me.
Here I am still standing, and these kids, I'm telling them, I'm original dinosaur. I mean, I'm one of the first to play the sport.
But the message has always been the same. It's always been about quality. It's always been about straightforward and honesty and being your own spirit. I guess that would be the best way for me to ever describe Artie. Let your spirit come out. Let your spirit be who you are. There's just a kind of electricity or something that he has. I mean, Roger, I know you know it. You know what I'm talking about. We can't quite put our finger on it, but there it is. You know?
Will someone help?
I mean, it's, you know what it is? It's the expressions, it's the tone,
and the history,
it's the delivery,
yeah.
it's the man,
Yeah.
it's the composite of him, isn't it?
Oh,
I mean, it's just like, it is what it is, you know, you are, you know?
Get back to the show me state, my love to everyone there.
Oh.
For me, one of the original dinosaurs in racquetball, to have these wonderful gunfighters come in from all over the country to do battle in the greatest city in the world, it's an honor for us to have him here. And that's what I share with all my gunfighters.